Well, it's another week, and it's more QB tracking out in Berea before the summer vacation hits. Still one more day of mandatory minicamp to go, but most likely it'll be a shorter practice. So most of the work has already been done, two-thirds of it at least this week, and we will react to all of that, plus get into Nick Chubb, now no longer a Cleveland Brown officially, and we'll talk about Guardians. This is going to be an abbreviated edition of The Voice of the Land here on the Big Play Network, partnered with LPV Productions, brought to you by Greeny Sports Cards. And right off the top, I know you've already tweeted out. It's myself, Kevin Hall, Ryan Moster over there, and in studio going through a bunch of traffic to make us sound or look as good as possible in our remote studios is Peter Tulloch. Ryan, you tweeted it out from our show account. Greeny Sports Cards next contest is live.
Yeah. Super excited. We mentioned it briefly last week, but now it's live and up and running. It's the Muni Lot Kids cards that Chris McNeil, who is with Big Play at Reflog, created and partnered with Greeny Sports Cards. And Greeny's was nice enough to provide several decks of those cards. So we're going to be giving those out to some lucky winners here. We're super excited. So all you have to do is just go on our Twitter at VTL_pod. It's pinned as the top tweet there. Just follow the rules, like, comment, tag a friend, retweet, and then follow us at VTL pod and also Greeny Sports Cards, and then you are entered to win. We usually do these about a month or two, depending on how much traction it's getting, but right now it's getting some decent traction, so we might let this go one go a little bit longer. We're really excited, really grateful for not only Greenies, but Chris McNeil, Reflog, for making these as well. They're really awesome and gonna be a great addition to anyone's collection for whoever collects cards. So.
Absolutely, they've been all over social media, and to be able to do this contest, we got to thank Greenies just in general for partnering with us, thinking that what we have to say, like our messaging, like wanting to be connected with how we put our message out there. I know that they connect with a lot of people at Big Play, and all of us at Big Play, we describe things, we talk about sports all differently, and I think that's a good thing because you want different perspectives and you want to be open to different perspectives. And the fact that Green Sports Cards likes our perspective at the same time means so much to us because we've always kind of followed them. You can always follow them on social media, but they're always live every Tuesday night. They have shows at least once a month at the Kirtland Senior Center in Kirtland, Ohio, and of course, bigger shows all the time. They don't just do sports cards, there's pop culture, and it's not just cards either. There's memorabilia that people are selling or trading at all of these shows. And of course, Pokemon is a big thing as well at these shows. And I'm sure, that would be something that maybe Miles Garrett be into, when he goes to, Japan and all the anime. Like, that's kind of the for our childhood, at least, like that was that kind of thing. But make sure you reach out to Green Sports Cards. GreenSportsCards.com has all the information that you need. We thank Jeremy and Steve over there at Green Sports Cards. So let's just jump right in now. And QB tracking is going on, but I think we should start wearing the jersey.
Yeah.
Let's start with Nick Chubb. Your thoughts on, now that there's actual video of him in a number 21, not a 24, navy blue jersey, not a dark brown jersey. All of those different things. There's an actual decal on his helmet. There's, instead of just stripes. All of those different things. We've seen that as he signed a 1-year deal, $2.5 million with the Houston Texans earlier this week after passing a physical with incentives. Could have it up near $5 million. The end of shows, Ryan, you've been saying sign Nick Chubb, and now we can't say it anymore because, unfortunately, Houston took that message. The Cleveland Browns did not.
Yeah, I'm pissed. I get it on a Nick Chubb standpoint. I understand, the only person in your way there is Joe Mixon, and they'll probably do a running back by committee. They have a rookie with Woody Marks out of USC who's promising, but nothing like Nick Chubb. So I understand. What upsets me mostly is the contract. I just $2 million, Andrew Berry. Like, I don't know. I understand Nick Chubb probably wouldn't get the opportunity with the Browns. We moved on. We drafted Quinshawn. We drafted Dallas Sampson. Jerome Ford's still here, even Pierre Strong. We have running backs, but I'm always going to say it. They have done Cleveland a disservice by not allowing Nick Chubb to finish his career in a Browns jersey. And that might just be I'm biased and stupid and a fan, but nonetheless, it hurts. It sucks. I'm upset. I hope he goes out there and dominates. I mean, him teaming up with Mixon, especially with them two going head to head twice a year for quite a few years. Now they're teammates. It's weird, man. It's not fun. I'm excited for Quinshawn. I'm excited for the next chapter, but Nick Chubb, there should have been a statue outside, and I feel like just Nick and Fitzpatrick. I don't someone ruined it, and it sucks.
I mean, it's crazy how those types of moments, like one moment in a game, as catastrophic as an injury or even something even smaller, can change the whole trajectory of where you think a player's career is going, a team's direction is going. It's why cliches are so prevalent in sports, because they roll out to be true more than they don't. And in this case, it's the little things matter in sports. You gotta take care of the little things to have big time success. And it seems like forever ago that happened, because it's just like we've had to replay that in our heads over and over and over again. The Fitzpatrick extra hit into the pile on Nick Chubb that cost him the rest of that season on the second game into it back in 2023, and just worked his way back last year, then breaks his foot, doesn't get the chance to stick around as long as he wants to. And now, of course, I know he wanted to be a Cleveland Brown. Every Cleveland Browns fan wanted him to be a Cleveland Brown for the rest of his career. I'm going to be honest, Ryan, like, it didn't hit me as hard as I thought it was going to, but I want to qualify that, or at least add context to that.
Sure.
I think it's because, and part of it working in the business, working in this business, listening to press conferences and like learning how to maybe listen to them a little differently than when I did as a fan. Maybe it's an advantage or a disadvantage in this regard. But when I heard Andrew Berry say that Nick Chubb would most likely test the market, not just, we love Nick Chubb, we'll try to bring him back. I started to allude to it last year, but didn't. I mean, look, Nick Chubb barked his way into every single end zone. Like, he didn't do it with, wasn't loud, but I know they're barking in the background. But
sorry, yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, it happens. Trust me. But when he said that he was going to test them, he was probably going to test the market. I'd prepared myself since then. Now, let's say like he did that. I think he did that at the combine. Let's say a couple weeks later, start of free agency, maybe a week into it, he'd signed a deal with somebody.
Right.
I think that would have hit me harder.
I'm sorry. Excuse me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you go take care of that. I think that
stop.
And for me, it sucks. Now you're seeing the videos, and my plan, honestly, is to make sure that as much as we all love to watch the NFL, if there are Texans highlights that come up on my TV, if the Browns play later in the day and somehow the Texans are an option to watch earlier in the day, or you're watching Red Zone and Texans game comes up, I'm telling you right now, I'm switching the channel, because I can't put myself through watching Nick Chubb in another uniform very much, because that's where the tide's going to turn back to. This hurts, and hurts deep. Right. How much do I blame the team? I mean, yeah, $2.5 million probably could have done it. I think maybe they would have re-signed him for that kind of money if Sampson doesn't fall into their lap the way that the draft board fell.
Sure.
To be able to get the extra pick to get Judkins, in the second round, to take Carson Schwarzenegger, so you still have the ability to take a Judkins early there in the second round, where other teams were definitely targeting him, and then to have kind of complimentary back to Dylan Sampson later on, like the way that the draft board fell. Plus, you reduce the number of Jerome Ford. I mean, part of it is, they weren't going to do a deal like that. part of it is the Deshaun Watson issue because that money is still on the books and how they have to set money aside for rookie contracts, set money aside for what else is coming up and cap hits that are going to take place at different points during the year. It's a bunch of factors that went into it. It doesn't matter how you slice it, how you talk about it. It just absolutely sucks.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2022. I mean, as a lot of people are saying, well, we didn't need the second running back. We could have. There's more holes on this team. Offensive line is an issue, and also possibly, it's going to be an issue in the future with Petonio retiring, and Wyatt Teller also at the top end of his career. Safety is a question right now as well. So a lot of people are saying, well, we could have kept Chubb, and we didn't need the luxury of that second back. We could have signed Chubb for $2-3 million, had him as our RB2, work him in, and get a position of need. So that's where I see a lot of people are getting upset with the Samson thing. I like Samson. I think he's an underrated player. I think we got great value where we drafted him. But there are other pressing needs on this team for sure.
And I totally understand that. And people can feel how they want. I'm not saying that like it didn't, people can come at me for saying it didn't hit as hard as maybe I thought it was going to. Like, and I'm surprised that it didn't, but it still hasn't hit that hard. And I think, it's just because the way my mind has processed it. Everybody processes things differently. And that is that is the human element to all of this. And when we're having conversations, I totally understand anybody's frustrations, whatever angle they come at it from. I totally get it. I think the issue of taking Dylan Sampson and should have addressed other needs in that spot. I think more so that comes down to how bad the wide receiver is, and continues to be, because you look at the wide receivers out there. Cedric Tillman's still not able to practice, and he missed the rest of last year, a concussion that took him out for the rest. It seemed like every single week there was a question whether he was going to come back. It seemed like he was making progress, never was able to come back. So he's standing on the sideline. I think there's another receiver that's standing on the sideline, but you have Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Then you're banking on Cedric Tillman making a big jump. Jamari Thrash making a big jump as I think a fifth-round pick that the team made later.
Yeah, very late, yeah.
A couple years back. And then Deontay Johnson trying to resurrect a career where he spent all of last year going between three different teams, considered to have off, I wouldn't say cancer to the locker room, but definitely, character concerns there to how that can, whether that helps to build or destroy a good culture you're trying to rebuild from 2 years ago. And a guy that didn't show up to OTAs. I know that's always a question. I think it's a different circumstance for every player.
Right.
We don't need to relive Myles Garrett there or not there. Like, I mean, just look at the dude. Like, just an absolute freak of an athlete. You didn't think he wasn't communicating, at least with coaches, and working out. I mean, is he a leader? That's the conversation for another day. We don't have the time for that today. But Deontay Johnson is trying to resurrect his career. This is his first year here. He's learning a new offense, new teammates, all of those things. That is a guy that would have benefited from being here. I didn't get a chance to hear his press availability today and hear if he was asked why he wasn't around at OTAs. Doesn't really matter. He's here now. Can he resurrect his career? Do they need to make another move? Probably. They probably need to take these 5 weeks that they're off to make another move, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys out there. I mean, Amari Cooper is still not on the team. I know. I mean, he had his best receiving game for a Brown was Amari Cooper. I think he broke Josh Gordon's record. Was it 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year? I'm not sure. I think it was 2 years ago though. I know he's at the top end of 30, but he's a guy who has been in the locker room, has been part of somewhat, I guess, of a decent culture, and has been successful here. There's a guy named Isaiah Bond who's got some legal issues right now, but I think they'll probably find just some guy who's going to get cut at the end of cut down days and try to just finagle the roster, and they're just going to go in with what they got, and that's it's not enough, unfortunately, especially with we don't have a quarterback. Dude, I don't know. This whole season is so up in the air and so uncomfortable. It's just
I know
it's awful.
The quarterback competition with 4 quarterbacks. It's a team that kind of needs to win. It's an organization that kind of needs to win to solidify the mulligan that they're probably getting this year. This year after last year going 3-14 because they catered out everything to one player instead of the team, and trying to find a way to use those skills and implement that person into that and find ways for them to still have success. That is Deshaun Watson, of course, who, yes, it's a 5 quarterback room, but it is a 4 quarterback competition because he is still nowhere near cleared from, and I wouldn't expect him to be cleared anytime soon for any sort of practice availability. I would probably get maybe an update at the start of training camp at the end of July. But 4 quarterback competition, organization that needs to show that they can win. That is what Kevin Stefanski is able to do as a coach. When you have a roster that has so many question marks, you've got like 1 wide receiver. Can you make a trade with the 2 teams that have a plethora of them that will probably need to have a surprising cut in their wide receiver room?
Maybe.
Because you can't wait long enough for cut down day. That would be the Green Bay Packers in Indianapolis.
Right, that's what I was thinking of too.
I don't know, and that's not because I have that knowledge because other people have said that. I just trust NFL experts, and those are the 2 teams that you would look at. The Chris Olave thing, like as Ohio State fans, like just
right.
New Orleans is not trading Chris Olave as much as I would love an Ohio State wide receiver. And unfortunately, our ability to be at the top of drafts does not match up when Jeremiah Smith will be coming out. So
we'll see.
The unfortunate, and it seems like we did this with Ray Farmer, but there's always seems to be a position group, Ryan, with our front offices that they just tend to neglect, and then it comes to rear its ugly head. It comes back like a nightmare and shows you exactly why you made the mistake of not addressing this sooner. And we're in that moment right now of not addressing wide receiver.
Yeah, and ultimately, I don't even understand or really know what the motive is in general. I don't know what their plan is. I think, writing's on the wall for me. I'd say rebuild year. We have one of the worst schedules out there, especially in the beginning. It's brutal. Our team is not equipped to do well. Just look at it. Just be objective and look at our team. It's not a good team right now. We have very good individual players at certain positions, but our holes are major. It's so me. I'm looking at acquiring picks like they did in the draft, and then planning on making a high draft pick. I've said this. I feel like I'm beating a drum at this point with the quarterbacks. I think they should obviously start off with one of the veterans. Just trade one of them, cut one of them. I don't care if it's Pickett or Flacco, and then let the other one start for a while until the rookies got their feet, and then figure out what you got. You have to. Otherwise, we're just instead of resetting it now, we're going to reset it next year, and we're just kicking it down the road again. And ultimately, that might be what they're doing until they get Watson's contract off the books. But there are major holes, and like you said, they often neglect to look at certain positions. I feel like linebacker was that way for a while until they addressed and drafted JOK, which was a huge success until it wasn't. Hopefully he's okay just in general. Hopefully he can get back in the field at one point maybe, but just in general he's okay. And then they addressed it in probably his replacement, at least for now, in Carson Swissinger. Receivers, I don't trust Andrew Berry to make a receiver pick. Look at his receiver picks. They're awful. Now, acquiring receivers via trade, different story. He's been very successful. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy had his first 1,000-yard receiving year last year. So that might be what they're doing, is looking and finagling and just trying to pick off of rosters. You say the Packers. The Packers are interesting to me. They have a guy who I think doesn't get enough opportunity in Bo Milton, who is probably their wide receiver 4 or 5, who's very good. He's actually he's trying out at quarterback right now just to stay on the team because he doesn't know if because they just drafted their first round receiver in Golden and forever. Also, Romeo Doubs is in a contract year, so there are guys out there who essentially are tradable assets that could be good for this team. But are they looking to draft? Are they looking to trade? I don't know. Are they looking in general? Are they looking to win? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. They're going to say they're looking to win. The
Yeah,
plan, the
right.
it's a different story. The moves made behind the scenes are going to tell you a different story. Again, it's being told one thing, it's talking about one thing, and being
Right.
about something totally different. And we name this like reacting to the tracking, and like the QB trackers are out there, and whether people
It's
like it or not,
crazy.
I know that like seems crazy, all of that. It seems to drum up conversation. Like we're still talking about it. It's not like we're
Sure.
avoiding that. And you know, I think people are doing it because they know the Browns are doing it. So why not try to give information that they're not going to be willing to give and would like push away, and questions they would push back on all questions about how a quarterback was doing. Why not try to give fans as much information that is going on when media gets a chance to be out there?
Right.
Now, the quarterback that looks like they're having the most success, at least numbers wise, is the fifth round pick in Shedeur Sanders. But this is also the guy that's getting, at best, second team reps. He has yet
Right.
to, and all four, these are just all four media sessions. There's four other practices, OTA practices, where the media was not there because they went to one of the three 2 weeks ago, one of the three last week. This week they get to be at all 3 days of mandatory minicamp. And in all four of those days, Shedeur Sanders has not taken a single rep with any collection of first team players, like whatever unofficial depth chart they're trying to run off of right now. I don't know. I don't know why. Like
Right.
I guess it tells you that they're trying to ramp up Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel, but then does that confuse the whole notion that uh, this is a quarterback competition? If those guys are getting more reps because they're being prepared for possibly starting the season, like Flacco's not getting much. Is he doing? Is that a just because you're trying to save a veteran? Like you got 5 weeks off. I don't think you have to save his arm right now because he's going to have
Right.
5 weeks to work out and all of that. I don't know where your questions lie on all this tracking thing, but my biggest one is like, it's not like I get that they're telling you that they're telling us one thing again. They're telling us don't worry about who's getting what reps and playing, like matching up with who. But out there is telling a different story. And I just like the one thing that we don't get behind the curtain on, why?
Kevin, this is going to be the worst. This is going to drag on all the way until we start the season, and it's just going to be the same conversation. Like you said, tracking and tracking. I mean, we got goofballs like Dove Kleinman or Kleinman on Twitter, who's got a big following, but he's saying that he's hearing that the Browns are going to cut one of the rookies for sure and try to sign them onto the practice squad. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. That doesn't. I mean, cut Kenny Pickett. No one's going to sign that dude. He's got tiny Burger King hands. Like, he can't even complete a pass. So, I don't know. I think it's all up in the air. It's all speculation. And for us to just assume what the Browns are going to, they're so cryptic all the time. Nobody can understand what they're going to do. I don't even know if they understand what they're going to do. But it's going to stay in house until it's not. And that's going to be at the beginning of the season. This is going to be so long. It's going to be such a long off season. And we're just going to talk about these four guys until we're not. So
We're gonna talk about it so we're blue in the face, as they
yeah,
say. It's not the greatest reference, but that's the best way to say it. Like, are we gonna talk about it every single week? I mean, we got 5 weeks. Like, I might I might put out there, and this is a democracy on the show. I might put out there like no quarterback talk the next 5 weeks unless absolutely necessary because of stories that come out. Because
I'm down, but that's not going to happen. So something's
well,
going to come up. It always does.
I'm just saying for us here, like we can
Sure.
direct the conversation wherever we want to. We're getting into the period of the off season where you don't really want to hear any stories. Like there's going to be, of course, people are going to react to comments made by national pundits, local pundits, because like something new is going to come up, like a different way to talk about it is going to come up to try to change the conversation, and people will react to that. Also,
Right.
like there will be reports like what people are hearing over these next 5 weeks coming out of the building, conversations being had, like how will they change the reps in training camp? Who actually was the best quarterback, or the team felt was the best quarterback in this first part of off-season workouts? All of those types of things. But it's the big stories you don't want coming out over the next 5 weeks. And we know what type of stories those are because the Browns have dealt with a lot of them throughout their years. And that means someone getting in trouble, someone doing something they're not supposed to, someone working out in a way that they're not supposed to, and hurting themselves, and then starting the year on PUP, or getting a soft tissue injury because they're not following the same whatever protocols they're being given by medical teams in the buildings. And I'm talking about all over the NFL. Like this isn't, but it's something the Browns tend to deal with more consistently, and it's the bad teams that deal with it more consistently because it's not a good culture where guys are on their P's and Q's when given to freedom, like given to their vacations and all of that kind of stuff. That would be when we would have to talk about it, Ryan. I don't want to have that come up. And I don't
And hopefully we don't. I mean, the season is always flowing. Injuries happen. Hopefully it's just not. Never mind. I don't want to wish injuries on anyone, but hopefully just our team is riddled away and no injuries are anywhere near our team. So
just yes, go out, have fun, go on vacations with your family, put your workouts in, take that time, because once you get to the building for training camp, what type of commitment, like once the season, like that's where the season really gets going for these guys. They're locked away. They don't get to see their families for the first, couple weeks. And some teams will go away. They'll go to different places. We have to travel to Carolina and Philadelphia for joint practices before we do preseason games. So take the time and enjoy with family and friends, but do it responsibly. And that is a PSA.
Sure.
That is a PSA, courtesy of the VTL. I don't know why. We always sent team to do PSAs on the show, and I don't know how we get there. We just get there.
Yeah.
We will close today's show, though, talking a little baseball. I was out actually covering the game today, and, I want to get your thoughts, Ryan, on kind of the way the lineups have been put together as of late. I know there's been a lot of conversation, like why is Manzardo not getting anything? Why is DeLauder not up here? Why is CJ Kafis not up here? Brian Rocchio is hitting it at AAA. Why is he not up here? The one thing I will say, and I found it funny, but I want to take issue with it, and I do as best as I can not to tell people how to think. And I don't care that people thought this way. I thought it was a ridiculous way to think.
Okay.
There were tweets out there that because Will Wilson hit 2 home runs last night in his first game back with Columbus after being sent down, with Lane Thomas coming off the IL and adjustments out there in the outfield because of it, people were saying, well, Will Wilson just hit 2 home runs tonight, but the Guardians got shut out on 3 hits. But when we were complaining about the offense over the last couple of weeks, Will Wilson was a part of that. Like the jump from AAA to the big leagues, is much different, and it's not. That's why only certain guys go from one level to the next, and a very small percentage of that go through all the minor league system make it from AAA and have similar success, if not better success, in the big leagues. Some guys. I'm not saying Will Wilson is that guy that he's only going to be a AAA guy. I'm not saying that Rocchio is only a AAA guy. I'm just cautioning people. You send down a guy that was technically part of the problem, looks good at AAA. They're not one and the same.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I honestly I don't know what they can do with the lineup. I mean, I'm happy that John Kenzie Noel was sent down just for his betterment. Get more at bats, get more consistency. See if you can get it back and come up. J-Rod looks decent. I I mean, there's Schneeman who's going in and out constantly. He's not getting that bats. Manzardo's not getting that bats. I'm questioning the identity, and I don't know if they are yet, but I think it's close. Like, I mean, we just can't get on base. I think we're second in major leagues right now in solo home runs. We're hitting home runs, but we're not doing we're not multiple. There's no multiple home runs. So I think that also like the question with like, are we keeping our starting pitchers out there too long? Like Bybee has gotten screwed now 2 starts in a row, like completely blatantly screwed. And then after him getting screwed, he ends up unfortunately giving up hits that is that management? Is that just poor timing? I think we're in a weird season right now where they're just trying to keep the lights on, keep the fans in the stadium, and have fun and see where we're at. And I feel like I've said that before. It's just I don't know what he can do and I don't know what they can do. It's the proof's in the pudding. It's not last year, and it's I don't know if it's consistency of these other guys, but there's something lacking for sure.
There's something lacking, and I see the way other teams kind of celebrate when their guys hit home runs, whether they're solo or guys are on base. And you kind of you can't do what you did in little league and you do in high school and stuff, like where you see in college, like where the whole team comes out to home plate, like it's all like looks like a walk off in Major League Baseball,
Right.
At lower levels where you come out, you like the whole team is celebrating the home run with the teammate right there at home plate. But with other teams in Major League Baseball, it's as close to that as you're going to get with how far guys come out of their dugout celebrating.
Right.
And with Cleveland, I don't always watch every team. Like I try to stay up on as much baseball as I can, but I can't see every team and every game and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot. Yeah.
But it just seems like our guys they don't get, there's not that celebration until they get into the dugout, and like they run down the aisleway and the guys are hitting them on the helmet and all that kind of stuff. Like it just feels like a different energy. How did that energy go with Josh Naylor? Maybe. I mean, I know people are complaining after seeing Will Benson just absolutely destroy Cleveland pitching in 5 of the 6 games that these two teams played against each other. I just want to, I want to give perspective to it. After the Guardians lost and got swept by the Reds that time, and Will Benson was hitting great in that series, he went back down to, since that series, coming into this one, he was hitting like 145 or something like that. So, and I'm not taking shots at Will Benson because I absolutely love Will Benson. And Ryan, I don't know if you know this story. I think I've told it on here before. When I was at Ohio Media School, we had the internet radio station we had was actually the home of Captain's Baseball, Lake County Captain's Baseball. So we were the one cutting the highlights and running the play-by-play guy was coming in through Skype, and then we were putting that through the board and out to people to listen to. And then on the weekend, when like certain local radio stations would air games, every now and again throughout the year, that was our feed going out to them. So we got professional experience doing all of that. And we also had opportunities to go out to the ballpark and shadow the play-by-play guy and all the operations, all of that kind of stuff for intern hours at the school. And one of the games that I went to, I don't know if you've been out to Classic Park, where their clubhouse is. It's that big shed building out in right field, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I watched Will Benson hit a home run well over that building.
Wow.
I don't know where it landed.
That's crazy.
Or it disappeared behind that building. So that guy has talent. He has power. And, it's just like a lot of the young guys that have been in this organization. Why they felt like he was expendable, because he, unfortunately, the numbers, the batting average was the same with him as some other people that maybe they wanted to get more of a chance to. That's just perspective. What's frustrating right now is we're wasting so many good pitching outings.
Yeah.
And while the bullpen's not as strong as it was last year, Ryan, it is still pretty strong. Clase is finding himself this
Finally.
year. And he's got, 14 saves, I think, already.
Yeah.
And,
I was worried, man. I'm glad that he's really stepped into it for sure. So
right. And as bad as that looked, like he's only blown 2 saves on the year.
right.
So, um, again, sometimes it takes some guys a little bit more time. Now, is there still time this year? Absolutely. There's almost 100 games left. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not, because for the work that I do, I'm not going to go that far to give an opinion on this, but I do want your reaction before we close things out, Ryan, to what I'm about to say.
Okay.
The way that what I observe from this team and kind of like getting to cover them and seeing them a little bit closer, I take that as an absolute honor and fortunate and all that kind of stuff. I'm not here to promote my stuff or myself. All I'm saying is I can give observations. This team is not wavering. They're not rattled by the recent struggles offensively. And listening to some of the guys after the game today, what you expect to get from the Guardians organization, hearing them say, like, we know lulls are going to happen in the season. We just got to stick to the basics and work our way through those rough patches of 162 game season. Very true. They've held that mentality from the time that Terry Francona was here.
Right.
Now into Stephen Vogt. So this is many years of this mentality, philosophy, way that they approach the game. I'm saying that because I want your reaction to say whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, whether you want to see more sense of urgency out of them, or is it okay that they just stay on the same path and they try to keep the message the same?
Yeah. Honestly, no. I think that you can't pretend to be something you're not. First of all, I think that this team is relatively young. It's been young for years. I feel like. I mean, other than Jose and a few other guys, um, there's some sort of I don't want to say uh, them being naive, but just like any game you're in, and that's just with young guys, that's what you're gonna have is that mentality, especially with Jose. Jose is gonna want to win every game no matter what. That's just the competitor he is, and you got vocal guys like Austin Hedges, who's probably not the best batter, but in the locker room, as Andre Knott said, when we had him on our show last year, like Austin Hedges is so incredibly vocal and important in that locker room that it honestly doesn't matter how he's batting. He's going to be on the team because Jose wants him on the team because he's that important. So when you have guys like that, like young guys that can buy in and old guys who can convey the message of buying in, I just think you just got to continue. Like you said, hopefully they can get over those lows. I think it's just small certain things here and there. Bad luck, call it maybe just maybe like I said, Vogt is not pulling guys when he should, or but they're going to play and they're going to do the best they can no matter what. They're not going to give up. Do they have the ability to make it that as far as they think they're going to, or any given day? I'm not sure, but no matter what, the mentality's there. So.
And if they're going to do anything this year, I'm not saying like I'm like happy with what they've done. Like I'm as frustrated as a lot of other people. Like
Right.
I don't maybe voice it the same or I don't approach it the same. Again, there's certain reasons for that, and I don't get into that on here, but like I want to make sure I stay on a certain path. Like I don't care how anybody feels about it. Well, I care how they feel, but I don't care how they react because like that's them. Like I'm not here to tell anybody how to fan, how to feel, how to react. Like keep all of that coming. Keep that energy. We'll say this team is going to be in a rough place. If they continue these lulls, at least with the fan base and people watching and observing this team over the next 5 weeks, because you don't have NFL football. There is no Cavs basketball anytime soon, unless big news happens when free agency opens and they find a way under the second apron to make some sort of move and things actually change and the core four get broken up when they're saying that probably won't happen. And financially, that probably can't happen.
Right.
So unless that happens over the next little bit, Like, there's no Ohio State football or basketball to look at. It's baseball. Like, we're in
Yeah.
that where everybody, if you want sports and you want Cleveland sports and you want to exercise that fandom, you're going to be tuning into Guardians games. You're going to be going to Guardians games with friends and family. So there's going to be more of a microscope on them. And when things aren't going right and the ball's not bouncing your way, and it really did not bounce their way last night. Like, I thought last night was basically if you want to show people the frustration of Guardians baseball last couple weeks, show them last night.
Right.
Where throws are online and they're hitting base runners, or it bounces away and goes into the camera bay, or whatever it might be. Everything goes under the microscope. Guys not hitting with runners in scoring position. Manager decisions to take a guy out or not put a guy in the lineup, or leaving a starter in too long, or leaving a reliever in too. All of those things go under a deeper microscope when you're struggling. Goes under an even bigger microscope when you're the only focus in town.
Yeah. And I mean, we're entering in kind of a hard part of our schedule too. And it's not really easy right now. So all eyes are on us, on them, and they need to figure it out. They need to produce. I think they can. It's just like you said. I think identity is important right now.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel, but I think that this is a good team. But can they get themselves confidently and purposefully out of the lull,
right,
and tinker a little bit, like find the right pieces that are going to bring back exactly what guards ball is supposed to be, and maybe move puzzle pieces around where one doesn't fit, another one needs to come in. Can they do that and not take themselves out? I know the lead in the Central for Detroit is much bigger now. People are already counting them out of winning the Central. Look at the lead that the Guardians had last year. Caught up, then they ended up taking off the rest of the year. No lead is safe right now. And with all of this, they're still in those wild card spots. It's going to tip one way or the other. There's no in between now, Ryan.
Right.
Again, I don't know how you feel. I just think that the scales are like teetering, and it could go either way at this point.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm there. I'm just enjoying the ride. Well, I mean, I have lowered expectations for sure, and I feel great about that. I just feel I don't have the pressure of ruining my day if they win or lose. Or, I've always said that as long as my baseball team is above 500 at the All-Star break, I'm happy, and they're above that. So I'm just going to continue watching them, have fun, and hopefully I think they can, and hopefully they do pull it together.
And we can't take the moments for some of these really good players we have for granted.
Right.
Enjoy the moments, enjoy the ride, especially Jose Ramirez. We don't take him for granted, and yet we do. Dude just moved into third place all time in franchise history, passing a guy named Earl Averill. And I know younger people are going to know that name, but if you've listened to some of your family members talk about Cleveland baseball, Earl Averill is a name that comes up. It was a name that came out of my grandpa's mouth all the time. He just passed him for third all time in doubles hit. That is a doubles hitter in Jose Ramirez. The guest has done home run derbies and hits home runs. Doubles, I think, even have more impact because it continues innings. You have one home run, then you get the rest of the guys out. Okay, you give up one run. Get guys back to back to back hitting some doubles or extra base hits or singles, rallies in games. That's what guards ball is supposed to be. Let's hope they can get back to that. Well, I hope everybody has enjoyed this episode. Remember, go over to our social media channel at VTL_pod on X/Twitter. The newest Greeny Sports Cards contest is going on for those Muni Lot Kids cards. Of course, the reflux Chris McNeil has helped put together along with some other people at Big Play, and we will have that giveaway. So make sure you follow the rules, enter, try to get those, and we will update when we're going to end it or keep that contest going. So we thank Greeny Sports Cards. We thank the Beyond Air Podcast Network. We thank Big Play. Thank Peter Tellep. I thank Ryan Mosser, always doing this with us. and all of you that do tune in. For the crew here at the Voice of the Land, we appreciate you tuning in. Don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all. 3,000. Ryan, I don't know what you want to say now, but what's the new phrase going forward?
Nick Chubb, I miss you. I don't know. I'm pissed.
Oh, man. Don't talk about it, be about it, and live life. No gas, no breaks. We'll see you right next time, right here on the Voice of the Land, brought to you by Greeny Sports Cards.